Democrats are looking back at a very rough first 100 days in President Trump's new term. He's seen victory. They've seen something else. Theirs has been marred by progressives pushing their far-left ideas, those rather odd sing-along sit-ins on the Capitol Hill steps, and even a censure of one of their own. The list goes on and on and on. Here, we'll scroll it while you're watching. And this isn't even in its entirety. All of these items pretty much boil down to the party being unable to find an effective way to fight Trump's agenda, and it is aggressive, as you know. Their messaging is terrible, their divisions are deep, and their leadership is lackluster. And brutal poll numbers for them, too. Last night, U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer led Democrats in an all-nighter on the Senate floor to rail against Trump. Schumer bucked some liberals' calls for him to step aside after he voted with Republicans to avoid a government shutdown last month. The right thing to do, but boy, he's paying a price. And his approval is at an all-time low. A reporter confronted him.
There's a poll out today that has your approval ratings lower than any other congressional leader at 17%. Are you concerned that you may be a liability for your party?
Polls come and go. Our party is united. We're on our front foot. We're stepping forward and going after Trump and having real success.
Front foot. Denial. Recent polling shows 25% of voters approve of congressional Democrats. That's a low number. The party's overall favorability is at an all-time low, 41%. Opinion piece published by the Los Angeles Times is titled, "Democrats, Please Stop Trying to Be Cool." And here's the argument in it. The Democratic brand is cooked. Worse, it's lame. People used to think the party was cool, or at least cool adjacent. Now they have the burden of being the adult party and not the naughty kind. The problem? Cool doesn't work when it's forced. Ask any middle schooler. And when today's Democrats lean too far into their edgy side, it doesn't look like an organic vibe shift. It looks like panic in skinny jeans. Ouch. Power panel now. Cassie Smedile, former Republican National Committee press secretary. Al Mottur, former Hillary Clinton campaign national finance team. Al, you're cool. What happened to your party?
Well, I just wish I could fit into skinny jeans, Harris. I mean,
oh,
look,
no.
we are not focusing on what we ought to be focusing on. It's quite clear the economy is in trouble. Today we learned that our economy contracted in the first quarter. Why is that? Tariffs and Trump's policies. We need to stop with the sit-ins, stop with the all-night sessions, and focus on economic policies that Americans will care about, because American parents are afraid that their children are going to grow up poorer than they are. And that's, if we start there, we have a road back to victory.
Whew, that's a lot to rebuttal, so I'll let you jump in, Cassie.
Well, I agree with my friend on stopping the all-night sit-ins that achieve absolutely nothing and don't get to the heart of any of the issues that the American people care about. But here's the issue. First of all, the economic report we're seeing today, most would say, is a bit of a hangover from the Biden administration. But beyond that, when you talk about what parents want for the next generation, they want a country that exists in some semblance of the country they grew up in. They want their hometown to be one that their kids can go to college and come back to and get a job in. That's what President Trump is taking the political courage to do. Political courage that his predecessors, Republican or Democrat, frankly, have not had the courage to do. And when you see what's been touted on the first 100 days, it is the results that people voted for. And to Democrats not being able to get their acts together, he told you exactly what he's going to do. You've had months to put your message together on this. And instead, to have 100 days of hating Trump, that's not going to get you back into any position of power.
Look, we had our voters' voices, a little bit larger panel than usual yesterday to mark the 100 days. And even Republicans were acknowledging the fact that, yeah, Trump talked about tariffs. They haven't gotten that tax cut passed yet. We believe that's coming possibly by Memorial Day. That'll be a shift and an amazing way for the economy. So while Trump is putting some pieces together, what are Democrats doing? Boy, this would be the time to be bold, because once things start getting set again, it's going to be really hard to fight him. Politico pointing out this, the big decision that could take shape AOC's future. The far-left congresswoman getting some support to take the top Democrat spot on the Oversight Committee. She quit the committee altogether months ago after a failed bid to lead it for the Democrats. But now, current leader Jerry Connolly is stepping aside, and that leaves a new opening for AOC to step up. However, Her recent high-profile fighting oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders is fueling some speculation beyond just Congress. Here's what she told Fox.
Do you think about running for president or Senate?
Because of my Instagram posts?
No, the video, the campaign style video. It's got everybody talking.
I mean, listen, it's a video, and frankly, I think what people should be most concerned about is the fact that Republicans are trying to cut Medicaid right now, and people's health care is in danger. And that's really what my central focus is. This moment isn't about campaigns or elections or about politics. It's about making sure people are protected.
Cassie, your reaction.
You know, it's hard to take her seriously when she goes out on this national tour via private jet. Nobody really thinks that AOC is actually that relatable and actually the answer to what is ailing the Democrats, I think, for that reason. But even more to that her answer is, oh, Republicans are just trying to cut Medicaid. You guys have been trying to say that for generations now, for decades. And that's not the case, and you know it. And again, those aren't the answers that people who are trying to find their spot either in the Democrat Party or are trying to just have an alternative to Donald Trump, they're just not finding their answer in what AOC is saying.
So, Al, does it help you sleep at night to know that AOC and Bernie Sanders could be the top of your party, that's where you're going?
Well, we've rejected that vein of the party before, and I think we will again. But I will note that she's talking about issues that affect Americans, and Cassie's just not correct. The Republican reconciliation instructions coming out of the Energy and Commerce Committee are going to cut Medicaid. Republicans can say it's not true, but all you have to do is read it. And it's going to be a problem for the president. It's going to be a problem for the Republican leadership to pass a bill that does that. And that's going to hurt all the frontline House members and senators who can be vulnerable next year. And again, if Democrats talk about issues like that, pocketbook issues, we can win.
Look, if you look at that document, once we actually see the final version of it, we'll do the drill down on it. But what senators are telling me is that what you're saying isn't the case. They are not cutting Medicaid. It is not baked yet. The big, beautiful bill could be 2 or 3 bills for all we know. But what it will do is cut taxes on tips. Perhaps there'll be an auto break when you can write off some of your auto payments. I mean, that would be huge, right? And then the extension of those 2017. I mean, yeah, I can't wait to drill down into it. But what you're saying right now is not true. And we don't know if it will be or it won't be, but we will read it when it's done.
What I'm saying is true for the House.
We'll move on. And I quoted the Senate. It's got to do both.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.